Hi everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today for our fourth alternative project using the June 2024 paper pumpkin kit called Life is Sweet. This beautiful kit creates 9 cards, 3 in these 3 gorgeous designs. If you're interested in watching me unbox this kit or seeing any of my other alternatives, you can click on the playlist and I'll link it up here in the top right corner. Today I'm going to be sharing a really fun alternative project, and what I've done here is just taken some of the contents of the kit and repeated those shapes in my card base, added some fun hand-drawn images, and just created this really fun happy card. And so I'm excited to share that with you today. Let's get started. All right, so what we're going to do is you're going to find this piece here. You're going to punch out your pink, and then we're going to use this other side for our design that we draw on the card base. The card base color that I'm using is Shy Shamrock. It just really pops with this really pretty in pink paper that is already part of the kit. So you see how that pops really nicely. We're also going to be using some of this Summer Splash frame. So let's kind of start. Let's start on our card base actually. So what we're going to do is you're going to take the corner of this pretty in pink, and you can either use the corner here or you could even use this die cut piece. Let's use this piece here. So we're going to, and the reason for that is just so we don't get any pencil markings on our pretty in pink paper. So take your edges and you're going to put them right up against the edge of your card base. So you see how it kind of stops right there? And then do the same on the other side, and then you're going to have this exact shape in the corner. You'll want a pencil to do this because you'll erase any pencil marks that maybe are still showing after you cut it out. Make sure it's a nice sharp pencil so that you just have a nice clean edge there. And then repeat it on the other side. So go all the way up and all the way over, hold it in place, and trace that decorative edge. Okay, we're only going to cut this off of the top. You go ahead and leave your bottom where it is. So we want this to be nice and keep our 90-degree angle there. So I just trimmed it with a pair of paper snips, and just kind of keep the paper snips nice and smooth as you go around the edge, okay? Okay, so not too hard of a task. If you see a little bit of pencil still showing, go ahead and take your eraser. Make sure you use a nice eraser for this and remove any pencil marks. Kind of doing this will also smooth out your pencil or your cut line as well. I noticed that it kind of just makes it look a little more finished when you run your eraser over it. Okay. So next we're going to take a marker, and I'm going to use a shaded spruce color here, but you could use any color. And you're going to, let's go ahead and open this up. It doesn't matter if we get any splatters on the back. Let's splatter first, and then we're going to go ahead and draw. So move some things out of the way so you don't get splatters everywhere. You only really need to splatter along the edge because everything else gets covered up. So just a little splatter there. Clean up. And then you're going to take your the same color used for splattering, take the fine tip side. These are the older style, but in the newer style, there's still a nice fine tip. And you're just going to trace maybe 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. And it doesn't need to be perfect. You're just going to follow those scallops in the corner and then come down, do another line, follow those scallops, and then do another line all the way to the top. Now, if you want, I went ahead and did that twice. I think that it just makes it look like it's intentionally not perfect, which I like to be not perfect when doing something like this. Let's see, I'm going to open this up just a little bit so I can see that scallop just a little better. Okay. So once we have that done, we're going to take the other side. So this is that pink paper. So this is the fern piece that we've been working on for the last couple projects. You're going to find 3 leaves that you think would look good if you traced them. So like this one here doesn't look like a full leaf, so that one would be kind of hard. But this little group of 3 here in the corner would be kind of nice. And you're going to take that and you're just going to lay it so that it's going to look good when you trace it. You're going to start at your line. Don't go to the edge of the cardstock. So trace it starting at the line. You can be selective and not do all 3, or you can do all 3. But the other thing about the details of the leaves is that they have kind of a cutout in the middle. So you're also going to take your pen and you'll just make a little mark that's similar to the shape that you just drew on the inside. So there's that one there. I also wanted to add some up along the top edge, maybe some that are maybe a different shape and maybe a little bigger. Let's do these 4 here. Okay, and then do the inside. Just like that. And then you'll find some that you can do maybe along the bottom edge. Here, maybe I'll do these ones right here. And you can skip the little tiny ones if you want, or you can do them. I'm going to skip this little one that I'm not going to really, doesn't really make sense to show. And then again, go in with a similar shape. Okay, you don't want it to be a different shape. So try to follow the shape that you already drew and just add that little detail. So like this one, I did the wrong shape. So if it happens, it's no big deal, but that's what happened to that one. Okay, so just kind of pick and choose 3 different areas to draw in some leaves. I think that's just a really fun, whimsical look that you can add to your card. Okay. Next, let's go ahead and add we're kind of just eyeballing here the frame. So like this foliage frame to the front, and it's not going to be perfect, but what we're going to do is flip it over, take your pencil and just kind of mark where we would cut it off. Okay. And that's going to give us some ideas. So go a little bit above that marking because we don't know that we're not exactly sure what that is yet. And we're going to cut that and then just separate it from any other pieces that are holding it together. So there's that edge. So you see how this one kind of ends right in the middle of a fern. I'm going to go up a little higher so that that fern stays together. Okay. And then let's just separate it here and here. Okay. what we're doing is we are going to remove some of these pieces along this edge here. And we're going to leave the ones that touch down at the bottom because we want it to be full down here at the bottom, but we don't need these ones that are on along the edge. So do you see how this fern or leaf touches the bottom? We're going to stop it right here where it kind of stops being one leaf, where it kind of hits the leaf in the middle. Okay, so because then this one looks like its own piece. Then we're going to trim off all of these leaves on this side. So just put your paper snips right along that straight edge and just cut. We're not worried right now about what the shape of those leaves look like. We just want a nice clean edge going down that frame like that. And then over here we have another one that's upside down. Okay, and then we have, let me just look really quick. Okay. So we're gonna, this one that's going down, it also stops at the, kind of in the middle of a leaf. So we'll trim that one off. This one we do want to keep the leaf looking good. So just trim it right there. And then we're going to leave, I think we're going to leave this leaf here. So let's go ahead and trim it away from this leaf, just like that. Okay, so now we've separated it like that so that we have all these leaves that go around the edge. And then let's cut these off of this side. So what this is doing is it's giving us some fun details that we can, you know, that kind of mimic the leaves that we've added at the bottom and along the sides. It keeps it being really busy. So when I was adding these elements with the foliage behind it, it was just really busy and I had a hard time focusing on the main elements, which are the greeting and the lemon. And plus, by removing them, we can use them on some future cards. And so you'll want to hold on to all of this foliage that we're removing, okay? So this is what it's going to look like. So save all those pieces, not the teeny tiny ones, but anything big enough to save, you'll want to save it. So on here, we're going to add some glue dots and attach it to our pink piece. All right, so I've added some glue dots. And when you place this, you want it to be so that it's nice and even all the way around. So kind of think about what the border looks like on the sides and on the bottom. Okay, so you might have to bring it down a little bit to kind of mimic what those sides look like as well. There, I think that looks pretty good. And then once it's on, you can flip it over and trim off those excess so that they're nice and even with the top. Okay, so from here we're going to take some tear and tape and I'm going to tape it at the top and then I'm going to add dimensionals at the bottom. And this is going to give it a nice pop from the card. I didn't want the top to be popped because it's right along an edge and that's kind of makes it difficult to get into a envelope. So when you add this, just place it in the center or as close to the center as you can. And then just press down. Right up along that edge is what you're looking for. Isn't that so fun? I love it. All right, I did just realize that I forgot to wrap the linen thread around this. So I'm going to just kind of come up with a fun temporary solution. So you're going to take one piece that's double the length. So that's 1, 2. So let's go ahead and cut that. And then you can either take tear and tape or a glue dot and put the two ends on one glue dot. And then let's sandwich that with another glue dot. And we're going to just leave it on the paper. tear it. So once those glue dots are together, then you can take the other side and do the same thing, but right in the center so that they're even all the way across. And then glue dot, sandwich it. Okay. So what we have now is a double looking string with glue dots on both sides. And I'm going to take my Take a Pick tool and I'm going to slide it underneath my Pretty in Pink. I might use my bone folder to kind of help hold it up. So slide it right about where the, when this is laid down, like right above the foliage. I don't know if you can see that, sorry. But that's where I'm looking for. So get your bone folder in there and slide that right where you want it to go. And then press down. And then come all the way across and get the next one. Do the same thing. Place your bone folder in there so that it can be tucked under. Oh. Let's try that again. I know that's not in there all the way. Put it this way. And then just make sure it's kind of nice and tight before pressing down. Okay, not perfect, but I think that looks pretty good. And then we can just add a bow on top in a minute. So we'll just do that first. Okay, so no harm in that, forgetting that step. Let's go ahead and do the next step, is coloring our greeting. So yesterday we also colored some glimmer paper to kind of make it stand out, and I love the way it looked so much that I decided to do the same thing with this hello. We've got the dark melon mambo Stampin' Blend marker, and just kind of repeat that same process. If you didn't watch yesterday's video, you want to just make sure that you're using the flat end or the flat side of the marker so that you don't fray the tip, because this paper is rough and we just want to make sure that we don't ruin our markers too quickly. Over time, the tip will be frayed, and that just happens as you use it. But yeah. And then you just give that a minute to dry and put some dimensionals on the back. I wanted to include another greeting, and so I'm using some more Shy Shamrock and going to stamp the Sending a Big Squeeze on one of the greeting labels. Try to make sure it's nice and straight. Looks good. We're also going to add dimensionals behind that. Okay, so I've also added a dimensional near the or under the leaves of this lemon. This is the larger lemon with the double leaves. We're going to place a glue dot at the tip, and that's going to go underneath the linen thread and some of the foliage, and just kind of at an angle there. I love adding just that little bit of dimensional to give it a little bit of a pop. Then you can take your greeting, Sending a Big Squeeze, and we're going to add this right above the linen thread. Oops. It can come off of the pink just a little bit if you want it to. Try to make it nice and straight. And then we've got hello. I've added just a couple dimensionals. I wanted to leave the O open so that it can go over the lemon. And that just goes right in the center above the greeting. Okay, so it's going to look like that. And then let's go ahead and take another piece of linen thread. This one is going to be about 10 inches. And we'll tie a bow and then use a small glue dot to attach it. Okay, And then we've got those little tiny glue dots. And we can put one right near the bottom of our greeting. Kind of tuck it in right there. Oh, the problem is this isn't quite just nice and tight. So we want to make sure that it's not tight on one side and then loose on the other. And then you can kind of just tie it right on top. There we go. Or add it right on top. You're not tying it. It's already been tied. And that's all done. Oh, we're not quite done. Just the front. So to make the scallop edges here at the bottom really stand out, I thought it would be fun to add another little touch of pink. And then with a little strip of Melon Mambo to kind of add that accent color back into the card. So to get that same color of pink, I'm going to use my envelope that is that pretty in pink color. Just remove the sides, and this time we are going to use the back side here, and we're going to leave the double layer on. I think we need about 1.25 inches. Let me just kind of measure here. So 1.25 inches. Yes, I think that's about right. So go ahead, and if you want to make it a little bigger, you can. I'm just going to do 1.25 inches. And then you'll notice that we have just a little bit of overlap happening right here. And so you want to trim that down just a little bit. You may want to start in the paper. And then make sure you have 5.5 inches. You don't want to go any shorter than that. But that should trim off any of that. So you have this nice piece. And then just take a scrap of Melon Mambo cardstock, and you're going to cut just 1/4 inch off. And trim that also down to 5.5 inches. If you want to go a little bigger, you can, so that you can trim it to just exactly the card size. And then add this to the inside. Because this is nice and thin, you can take some tear and tape and cut that in half again, just like we did before, and then trim it off. Whoop. And put that on the ends. I'm going in just a little bit, so because I know I'm going to be trimming some of it off. And then you don't want to cover up the pretty in pink, because that might show. So go ahead and just put it on, trim off any excess. And then close it up. And it looks great. I love how that little bit of pink really accents that scalloped corner. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching me create this beautiful and fun whimsical card. If you're interested in seeing written instructions or close-up images on how I created it, you can visit my blog, creativechelsey.com. If you would like to subscribe to get your own paper pumpkin kit, you can do so using the link in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.